Hello, welcome to PJ and Dunkley. I'm the horse racing correspondent Anthony Dunkley. Once again, delighted to be joined by Paul Jacobs. How's it going, sir?
Good.
We're less than a week away.
Yeah,
In fact, it's Thursday today, so this time next week we'll be gearing up for World Hurdle Day. What I thought that we'd do, Paul, is that we'd each give basically our tip, our best bet for each of the days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we just basically talk about them. Let's move on to Tuesday, of course, Champion Hurdle Day. Where are you going first?
My nap of the day is going to be Forheen. I think he's a monster. I think he's shown so far anything put in front of him, he's managed to brush aside. I think it's an above average Champion Hurdle. I think it's sad there are only 8 runners taking part, but we should get a good pace in the race, courtesy of Bertamont from the Skelton Yard, who I know is going to go out in front and is going to try and get the horses in behind him at it. We know what Jessica Harrington has said about Jeski, that she wants to see him hit the front before the second last, between the third last and the second last, and because he stays so well, wants to try and pull the finish out of her rivals.
Very difficult to pass, isn't he?
He is. I mean, last year he put up a tremendous performance, and I don't think he got the credit he deserved. And what is very interesting, and including myself here, I'm almost like contradicting myself a wee bit, because in April 27th last year, we put up on account that I backed the new one at 6s and Forheen at 7-1 for the Champion Hurdle. So we're in a really good place at the moment. But I've watched back last year's Champion Hurdle loads of times, and a lot of people, including myself, and I hold my hands up here, said the new one was slightly unlucky. But in between the third last and the second last, as they came down the hill, he was within 4 lengths of the leader and had every chance. And it was at that really crucial point that he was outpaced. It wasn't because of the ground he lost down the far side of the track. He was essentially outpaced, and I'm slowly beginning to come around to the fact that I think he wants 2.5 miles already. And if the ground is genuinely good, the same thing could happen again. And I believe the way for the new one to win the Champion Hurdle is that I think Sam has to ride him really positively.
He has to be close to the pace and try and burn him out.
I almost think he's almost got to do a Jeski. And if they do that, they could race from a long way out. And we know Forheen stays a lot further. A lot of people surprised he's going for the Champion Hurdle this year. But those tactics from those 2 main rivals could almost play into his hands.
Yeah.
I believe he's a horse that can win the Champion Hurdle for the next couple of years at least. But of course it's a test for him, and I wouldn't be taking the even money 5-4 because I'm happy with the 7-1. Will I be laying off? Yes, a small amount.
Very interesting, Paul. I'm going for exactly the same. Forheen for me is an absolute machine. When I saw him at Kempton, I couldn't believe how big he was. I think he's proved this year, winning at Ascot over 2-3 and at Kempton, that he is just a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
He hasn't faced this kind of field before, but this is what a championship race is all about. And if you watch back on his winning the Neptune last year, how well he stayed on when he was just a little bit tap for toe at the top, the hurdle just before the turn in. He was just needed a little moment, and then he shot off, and nothing was going to get past him. He's a bull of a horse, and I think he'll take all the beating. And
prospective Champion Hurdle winners have a very good record coming from the Neptune, and the very best example is the great Istenbach,
of course,
who was bred to win a derby, but then won Champion Hurdles. My outsider of the day, and I'm going to give an outsider for every day, in the Ultimate Business Handicap Chase, over an extended 3 miles, and they have extended the trip of this race by an extra furlong. So despite the ground likely to be good to soft in places, you are going to have to say, and I don't think this horse has got anything in hand on the handicap. I just love the way that he's come back to form this season, and his Cheltenham record is exemplary. So from a handicapping perspective, he doesn't shine out for me. From a price perspective, at 25-1, Anacott he does, and I think if he puts in a clear round, I think he's an absolute certainty to be in the 4. If you fancy a 6-1 winner just for a place, and you can get 25s for the win. I think it's a hugely open race this year, and the fact that we've got a novice in there as favoured at 8-1 tells you everything you need to know.
And remember, he's never won a race or been in the frame when he hasn't been unfancied. Right, moving on to day 2. I'm going to kick off in the cross country chase. I'm really taken by Tutankhamon, who is a French stayer. From the Isabelle Pacot yard, who is yet to encounter good ground. Clearly a stayer with a lot of potential though. The big field and the frantic early gallop is going to help him settle, and the others are going to start petering out, I'd say, from about just as they turn into the last circuit. He's going to be bang there, He's won over 4 miles, 4.5 furlongs,
Wow.
so he's definitely going to stay. He's won at Fontainebleau, which is a big cross-country chase a lot of times. In fact, the trainer says the only downside, Paul, is there aren't going to be many banks to run over, which usually slows rivals down. I think 7-1 to be the first French winner since Moulin Riche is a very good price. I think he's seeing, as he jumps so well and he stays so well, I can't see him out of the 3.
That's a really interesting bet, and as regular listeners and readers know, that it's not a penchant of mine, the cross country, but I think as Dunkers has done his homework, if you find something of interest, it can be a going concern. My nap of the day for Wednesday is Don Purley in the RSA chase. I hope he goes here and he doesn't go to the National Hunt. Again, it's a distance that's been slightly made a little bit longer this year. He jumps, he stays, and more than taking the 3-1 about him, I've actually backed him at 20-1 for next year's Gold Cup. He's taking exactly the route that Sir Deschamps took. I think he's a stronger sailor than Sir Deschamps, who I don't think got home in that Gold Cup behind Bobsworth and what were particularly stamina sapping conditions. But I'm going to back him SP for the RSA. But moreover than that, I think Betfred are offering 20-1 for next year's Gold Cup. I spoke to one of the guys from Timeform, who's very, very well regarded, Dan Barber, who's the jumps expert, and I said to him, what price, if you could get now for Don Purley for next year's Gold Cup, would you take? And he said 12-1, and I shouted out 20s. And I'm glad I've grabbed it, and it's still available there as well. I know it's a long way off, and for a lot of you, anti-post betting won't be your want, but it is mine, and I feel at 20-1 I want to have that in my locker. For the outsider of the day, I'm going for the most difficult race of the whole festival. It's the Coral Cup, over 2 miles and 5. And Tiger Roll, who's been running against the best 2-milers this season over hurdles, he is essentially a stayer. Most horses that win the Triumph Hurdle are stayers. It wasn't a great Triumph Hurdle last year. Wouldn't surprise me if he's put in the World Hurdle either. But I think off 151, Tiger Roll for the Coral Cup, I think he'd be outstandingly well handicapped. It'll be the first time he raced over this trip. I think he's going to revel in it. Yes, it's competitive, and you can never be overconfident about a horse, but I think that's compensated by the price. I think you can get at least 33s. I think he's 40s in a place. Tiger Roll is my outsider for Wednesday.
And of course, a horse who comes into his own on the spring.
Absolutely.
Right, day 3, Valsalido in the JLT. I think a strongly run championship race over 2 mile 4 is exactly what he's going to want. I've been putting my head in the sand for weeks saying that he will run in the RSA, but I think Connections, if they do take this route, I think that would be the best for him. I don't think Apache Stronghold has his measure over a really, really strong run 2 mile 4, because I think Valsalido is essentially a 3-miler. They just don't know it yet. He ran well to a point in last year's Supreme. He can use that experience of what a championship run race feels like here. He's going to be keeping on at the finish, and I think he's going to really enjoy the hill, which is vital, because these stayers, when the others are crying no more, they're really coming into their own, and it can give a horse confidence as horses are dropping back and they're suddenly picking up momentum. It's a really muddling 2 mile 4, this Cheltenham race. His form in Ireland's very sound. Dryml win, very impressive. He wouldn't mind the good to soft ground if last year's Punchestown run behind Forheem's anything to go by. So I thought he was a decent price at 6-1. Each way, definitely each wayable as well.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping he does win, because I've got him at 16s anti-post, so fingers crossed. He's a horse I always liked as a novice hurdler. I think he jumped hurdles ever so well. My nap for Thursday is Maffilier in the Ryanair chase, and I think it's very close between the top 4 or 5 in the betting. Bull de Succès is the favourite, but I think she'll reverse that form with him at Ascot. I think she's better than him left-handed. I think she's better than him on an undulating track. I think good ground is more of a necessity for her than it is for him. And of course, you get that £7 mare's allowance,
Very
which I think
valuable.
is stupid, but take advantage of it.
Yeah, why not?
And I think she's an each way bet to nothing around about 11-2. My outsider is not an outsider, so it's the one day I'm cheating here. Is a horse that I backed on Saturday when he absolutely slooshed up at Doncaster. And maybe this is a bit of an afterthought for Call the Cops and the Nicky Henderson yard, but he's only got a £6 penalty of a mark of 138.
And he slammed them, didn't he?
I mean, it wasn't a great race, but I think this 3 miles at Cheltenham and a quicker run race will suit him down to the ground. I don't think it's a great pretense this year. I don't think there's a lot of strength in depth. I think there are a lot of exposed horses in the field. And you could say that Adami from the Tony Martin yard, yeah, he ran a great race at Musselburgh last time out, and he may be £3 or £4 well in. And Cyberite from the Nigel Twiston yard, David Shaw could go well, because he'll love the hill as well. But I think Call the Cops could be £7, £8, £10 better than his current mark. Yes, he's going to need luck in running. And yes, he's going to have come out of that race at Doncaster okay, but I'm prepared to take that chance at 8-1.
He's quite lightly raced as well. I think while it might be an afterthought, I think he has as good a shot as any.
Agree.
Right, day 4, Gold Cup day. Gold Cup, many clouds, 8-1, fantastic each way price. He's really found his feet chasing. He would have gone a lot closer last year in the RSA if he hadn't been brought down at the 14th. I think his staying power would have taken him into the race, and I think he would have at least got close to a Fairlands boy who actually beat him in the race before at Doncaster. His Hennessy win showed that when they keep asking him, he responds, which is absolutely essential over the 3 miles, 2.5 furlongs at Cheltenham. His win at Cheltenham afterwards in the Argento was impressive because the Oliver Sherwood yard, they were in really quite dire form at the time. He's got to improve a little bit. I'd say probably about £7 or £8 to be able to win this, but it's an open year. 8-1 is a fantastic price, about one you know is going to stay and loves it left-handed, and has also won over the course and distance.
And I think the other thing very much in his favour, Dunkers, is the fact that Simon Clayson, the executive at Cheltenham, will not let the ground dry up too much, especially when it comes to Gold Cup day, because they want as many of the participants to take part. And he does want a bit of dig in the ground. And he's what I call the street fighter in the field. If there's one horse you want on your side in the finish, if there's 4 coming to the last together, as they literally did last year, if there's one horse you want, mucking out with you, it's got to be Many Clouds because he's such a fighter. I'm going to concentrate on the Martin Pike, but I don't know which horse I'm going to back. I'm going to go for the Jigginstown / Willie Mullins selected of Bois de Franc and Arbre de Vie. Both horses are totally unexposed. Willie Mullins targets this race year after year after year. Whichever one he runs, and he could run both of them, and I'll do split stakes, I think it'll go very, very close indeed. And my outsider of the day is in the Grand Daniel. I know you're going to say, well, that's foolish, and it may well be. But if the ground is genuinely good, I think we've yet to see the best of Alan King's Grametti over fences, of course, formerly 3rd in a Triumph Hurdle. Again, rather like Tiger Old, he's a spring, good ground horse who's shown his form at the track at a festival. Slightly disappointing over fences so far, but he did beat Crispy Green at Plumpton on ground too soft for him. Alan King knows now he hasn't got a Grade 1 horse in his stable with Grametti, but he also, I think, knows that he's fairly well handicapped, and if he puts in a clear round and uses that turn of foot to good effect, I think he's fairly well handicapped when you've got last year's first and second Cervello and Neb Buntline running off much higher marks. There are a few novices in here and novices the way to take this, I think, or second season chasers who are fairly well handicapped on what they've shown so far. But I think Grametti is yet to show his hand in a fast run race on good ground, and I think he's a very big price at 33.
33, that's absolutely gigantic. It also makes up for that 8-1 outsider that you
I knew you were going to talk about.
in the day
I knew there was going to be a comeback there. But I think the great thing, the overall thing, and I like your view on this, Dunkers, is that if you're betting on the exchanges, this is where you'll get the liquidity at this meeting more than any meeting elsewhere, apart from probably the Grand National, the race itself, the Grand National. So if you have not got an exchange account and you've only got fixed odds account and it scares you a little bit betting with our exchange partners, I implore you to open an exchange account, because horses that fixed odds are 12-1 or bigger, you'll get percentage-wise a much bigger price on the exchange accounts during Cheltenham, especially in the handicaps, but also in the graded races as well, to a slightly lesser extent. So don't be scared about it. Open an exchange account, because I want you to get the best price you possibly can.
For example, Paul, Grametti, 33s with a normal high street bookmaker. Grametti could be as high as 60 to win, and also for his place. If you just think, I don't think he's going to win, but I think he could place, you can just put your single stake down, your £5, your £10 on him at maybe 12.
Agree.
And it's definitely the way to go. Agree. And also, it's worth pointing out, it takes a lot of money for a market mover in this, so really follow the market movers. Like, for example, Forheen was backed in from 3.5 last year in the exchanges to 2.5 at the off, which takes a hell of a lot of money.
You'll be doing that every day, yeah?
I will be. Yeah, okay, I'll be here all week for Cheltenham. Have a fantastic meeting. It's the highlight of the year for any jumps fan, any flat racing fan, to be honest. If the flat trainers aren't watching this, then there's no hope for them.
I'm sure they will.
It's a fantastic time of the year. And it's all kind of coming to a close. It feels a bit sad, but none of it's happened yet. So sit back, get your drink, and drink in some brilliance.
Ooh, 15 minutes. Wow.